All right, here we go.
Welcome to this special
I just kind of want to be here for the comments.
Featuring New World.
No, we had to go back. We're good.
This is an action RPG experience for players on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. With
Good for this guy. So excited about this game.
Real-time action combat and the
Here we go.
freedom for players to choose how to forge their destiny. New World Eternum was just revealed yesterday, so please welcome game director Scott Lane, senior producer Katie Kaczynski.
I love Katie.
And Rob Chesney, narrative director at Amazon Games, here to tell us more and break down everything we may have missed in this brand new trailer. Guys, welcome to the stage.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us here at IGN Live. Now, before we jump into the trailer, I need to know, what are you guys most excited for players to experience
Oh, no.
in New World Eternum?
I'm excited. I'm crazy excited to bring Eternum to console. We want to get all those players in on the consoles, having massive battles.
To be fair, guys, bringing it to console is massive. They just needed to make it free to play. I think that's huge for the game. Console might save them, but they needed to make it free to play, or at least free with Game Pass, available day one on Game Pass.
It's really awesome.
You know, I'm super excited that all these new players are going to get to see this world now fully realized. We talk about, you know, Eternum looks like a fantasy game in some ways, but we actually talk about it as a supernatural world, which means everything that's going on the island is tied into science or history somewhere. And of course,
that's just boring. I think this is why I'm drifting away from it, because I think I'm just more into fantasy. But continue.
And legend. So we have this broad canvas to draw from for our storytelling and deep lore that we get into. And for players to get in and see that, I'm super excited.
Maybe that's why I find their lore to be extremely boring. Well, I find lore to be boring everywhere. They're just pulling from a history book.
It's fully soloable all the way from start to finish. You can play with your friends too, but...
Yeah, and I am absolutely excited to play Eternum on my 4K TV, on my very comfortable couch, with my friends who exclusively play on their console or who exclusively play on PC. We're all going to be joined in the same world, and I am super stoked for that.
Let's go. I love that. All right.
Oh, you know, I
So
almost
without
bought those
further ado,
Converse shoes, but they were
let's check
sold out
the
in
trailer.
Korea.
Roll the clip.
I almost bought those. They're sold out of my size. All right. Oh God, here we go.
Through the endless tides of time, they've come to these mythical shores, seeking mastery over death itself. A cruel and beautiful paradise. Where primal forces clash over the island's deepest secrets.
Yeah, they've added controller support for coffee. Yeah, they already added it.
Mysteries awaken.
Oh, swimming. Pog. You know what? It actually blows my mind that, like, people complained that they wanted swimming in the game. Of all things, you want swimming and not a better end game. Okay, but swimming is on high demand, but not more soloable content.
Legends. Where blades and bows unite.
Okay, the Greatsword was one of the best additions, though. I will say that. Greatsword's so much fun.
Where heroes are forged.
No, I'm not corruption. I'm so tainted by corruption portals. I never want to do them again.
And demons are born.
I think it was in one of their videos. They were like, there's a very, what is it? What did they say? Like almost alive feeling or interactable, dense action in the open, but it's so boring and like their open world. And if by action in the open world, I mean corrupted portals, they're so boring and they're really not worth it. I feel like any of us that have been playing from the beta never want to touch another corrupted portal ever again. How are mounts? Mounts are cool in the game, Pork, but like they messed up when they added the mount missions and then they had to go back and make them shorter because people complained about that. And then I believe they also locked mounts behind a DLC, which means I think you had to buy, I think it was Rise of the Angry Earth where they introduced mounts. And if you didn't buy the DLC, you didn't get a mount. And I could be wrong about that. So, I mean, it's okay. You know? It's aight. I feel as if New World has a great foundation, but it's not growing in the direction that a lot of us wish that it had grown. Oh, really, release? That's probably fun. Diablo, I thought about it.
Is Eternum.
This is Eternum. Oof. I'm telling you, New World is really missing out on us just being these like Eternum goofy looking Vikings. Because if I could choose to be an Angry Earth or Corrupted, I would do it.
So excited here. Are you guys excited?
Their character model is terrible.
That was so jam-packed with tons of details. Guys, help me break it down. Let's roll the first clip, because here, in this clip, let's bring it up, we get a look at the Lost. So these are one of the factions in Eternum, right? So we kind of get like this blue color scheme with them. What can you tell us about the Lost?
Yeah, so the Lost
See,
are
that would be sick. Now that he said faction, do something like WoW, where you're either Alliance or you're Horde, right? So you're either like Angry Earth, or you're Lost, or you're Corrupted, or you're Ugly Viking model. That would be tight, man. Okay, well, they used to have it, right? So, but that would still be cool. Like, give me something to work for instead of this stupid faction system they have now. But it's really just like a crazy mob mentality of who can rally the most troops in open world.
an enemy type that you'll encounter in Eternum. The really interesting thing about Eternum is the death does not exist. So as many times as you die, you don't really. And so the same thing happened to these poor people who landed before you. And every time they were reborn, Eternum took a piece of them. They were lost to Eternum. So every time they come back till they look pretty mangled. And Eternum could do the same to you, but your soul is pretty strong.
Absolutely. Now, in this next section
I
of the
almost
clip,
wish, because they have what, Lost, Angry Earth, Corrupted, and regular Eternum Viking ugly models, that, you know how in Destiny they have like vendor quests and you level up your vendors? They need that in this game. I need more questing. I need more to do endgame and more ways to level my character. I don't know how else to say it, but like their endgame is, it's fun, right? Like we got a lot of time out of it, but man, they need more interactables. I need more to do. And I know people make the argument that it's an MMO and you should play with other people. But bro, like, I feel like games that let you solo content make it a lot better. Right? So I don't know.
we get a look at this Dryad Deer, which is part of the Angry Earth faction, right? What is the Angry Earth faction all about?
So the Angry Earth is...
I've never heard it
Eternum as
be called a
Paradise Lost.
faction.
It's inspired by that very much, and it's the Garden of Eden where things have gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, this
And
guy's
that's what the
sneakers,
Angry
I
Earth
wanted
is.
to buy
They are
that in
an
Korea, but they were sold out of my
expression
size.
environmental
So I was very
vengeance.
sad.
The world striking back against players, against the other forces that are contending for power on the island. The Angry Earth, sometimes, I mean, they're natural, so sometimes they're a little more sympathetic. Sometimes they might even help the players out a little bit against other enemies. But cross them, and you'll pay for it. Like they're
Hi,
they can be really
Monty.
tough.
Yeah.
All right, so we got to look at some of the older tech. Now, in this next clip, we actually see a little bit more modern tech via the musket. What can you tell us about how all these different eras collide?
It was one of the things that we found really interesting early in IP development, because there's this period in time, it's almost like the last gasp of people with shields and swords and breastplates, and then the very first breath of gunpowder and muskets and firearms. And when you throw some magic into that, it just creates chaotic, interesting gameplay, and we loved that. That was one of the key drivers in picking this era.
Yeah,
That is
and
awesome.
you'll see in this clip one of our archetypes. So this is actually the musketeer archetype, and we pair at the beginning, we pair this with the rapier. So you have some really interesting abilities that you can do.
Absolutely. Now, in this next clip, we get a look at a tree that's pretty impressive and it looks pretty significant. What can you tell us about the tree that's coming up right now?
So that's the Azoth tree, and Azoth is the lifeblood of Eternum. It is a soul substance. It's tied into the soul of the island, the soul of all the people here. And it's also the source of magic. It's the reason why everyone lives forever. And we talk about even like there are ley lines running underneath the ground throughout the island, channeling this stuff. Players, of course, learn to harness it as they go.
I'm telling you, they really
deeper
need
into
to
the game,
rework
and it powers up
a
a lot
lot
of their actions, and it's
of their
the
end
tree
game.
itself is actually a manifestation of
I thank you, Monty.
Gaia, one of the ancients, and a sacrifice that Gaia made to empower the island, imbue the island with the blessings that the players enjoy and all the people there.
Amazing. Now, people are so excited. I love it. Now, in this next clip, we get a look at the different weapon types in combat. What can you share about what we're looking at right here? So we see a musketeer. We see some magic in the background. Tell me more.
Well, this kind of demonstrates the combat of Eternum, right? We have physical-based dynamic combat, and what we mean by that is your position in the world matters. You block, you dodge, you can duck underneath weapons and arrows and projectiles.
Duck under projectiles. That is. I can't believe he just said that. I mean, he just said that, right? Like, I didn't.
You dodge, you can duck underneath weapons.
The 5 Ds of dodgeball, baby.
And so what you see there is the musket, which is part of our musketeer archetype, and we have, 6 more archetypes that you can play? So, yeah.
Amazing.
The 5 Ds of dodgeball, baby.
I'm so excited to check out this next clip because we see this shattered obelisk that is immediately attention-grabbing right here. What can you tell me about the background for this location in particular?
So this is a pretty iconic location in the game that you see in the first several hours, and we talk about the history of Eternum.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, where did we see that? I'm like, I feel like you see that when you do some side quest, but I'm like, is it iconic? When is this iconic in the game?
It's not in centuries, it's in millennia. This is a world, an ancient world. We have ancient Sumerians, Babylonians, Chinese who came to this island. But even before them was this ancient civilization, and players see the ruins of it almost as soon as they land. And there's kind of a mystery about who were these
Vitamin, I'm under the impression that they're going to do a massive giveaway after
what happened to them
after this. That's why there's a crowd. That's what they normally do at these events. Is they'll draw you in for a giveaway.
Yeah, and you hit on probably my favorite piece of journeying through Eternum, which is there's this mystery that you're just constantly trying to unfold, and the minute that you think you get it, you realize that you don't. So you don't know if this like magical element is coming from Eternum itself.
I was like, I couldn't even same. I have a ton of hours thinking. I don't know where that is
at all.
Yeah. And one interesting thing about this, so in game development, generally what happens is you have a narrative, and then that drives the concept art and how the art is created. In this case, one of our artists took it on themselves, and they made this really cool thing. And we liked it so much that we had to write a narrative around this and get it into the game. Yeah. It was a little bit backward.
Awesome. This is true.
We love to hear that. That's awesome. Now, we talked about the mystery, we talked about the narrative, we talked about combat, but in this next clip, we actually get a look at this boss that looks absolutely
What is this
crazy.
from?
What can you tell me
This
about
has to be the new dungeon or
monstrosity?
expedition I've ever done.
This enemy is absolutely diabolical. I can't tell you too much because we're trying to keep some things a surprise.
Oh, is it new?
But I
It's
can
new,
tell
okay.
you that that's one of the enemies in our 10-person raid.
Oh, 10-person raid. All right.
Yeah.
Now, we were chatting a little bit backstage, and this next clip shows me one thing that I think, Scott, you're pretty excited about. Here is resource gathering in just a second. What can you tell me about the resource gathering in New World Eternum?
I will tell you all about resource gathering. Boy, oh boy, if you like harvesting and sitting at a tree for 30 minutes until the tree comes back up again, you are in for an absolute treat. You want to go out and mine some ore? Well, so does 9 other people, and you're going to be fighting for that one spawn that comes up every 5 minutes. It's not instance farming. It is real-time farming, and you will be fighting for that one piece of ore against real humans or bots. Some things are on a 15-minute timer. You got yourself a 30-minute timer, and those things on a 30-minute timer, let me tell you as well, there's probably only about, I don't know, 50 other spawns in the massive map on a server that can hold about 2,500 people. So if it is maxed out, you're probably not going to get that ore, but you're in luck because there is a trading post where they're going to jack the prices up and you're going to be poor trying to get these mats for your daily cooldown that you can't even farm for yourself. So you're better off just swiping your card. And mind you, I don't swipe my card, but I don't care if you do, because getting gold in this game is terrible. It's your business, okay? I've known of card swipers. I know they do it, especially warloggers, okay? Just fucking, if you want to do it, that's your goddamn business. I don't do it, okay? But, you know?
I'm so glad
Thank
we
you, Kev,
stopped
for the
here
14
because
months.
A lot of times when you get into games, it's all combat, energy, action, action. And New World gives players an opportunity, if you're not in the mood for that, if you want some more chill gameplay, hit rocks, cut down trees. It actually feels really good.
It does. I will agree on
Support your
that.
friends. So if you socialize with people who like a different
I
style
do
of
like
game,
that.
they can go craft and make things that can make you better at the game. And on top of that, they can completely change the world. You could get a group of 3 or 4 people and deforest the forest, so when someone comes through there, it looks totally different this time.
Amazing. Now, I want to keep rolling in the trailer because there's so much to break down. In this next clip, we see a giant ice creature, and I need to know more. Tell me about who this is, how people can face them.
Yeah, so this is another one of our bosses in a 5-person expedition.
I've never even done
You're going
this.
to encounter them
I think
in
I
the
quit around this
glacial
time.
Tarn. And the very high-level backstory is that there are these giant machines deep in Eternum that somebody put there to
Ice
try and
charties.
gather all of the supernatural resources of the world. And this ice giant is part of that. And your job is to stop one of your enemies from taking over those machines and gathering that energy and power.
Absolutely. Now, in this next clip, we see exactly what I would expect to take an ice giant down, a fire staff. This looks so cool.
Yeah, so in Eternum, different damage types will damage enemies differently. So what is the natural predator of ice? Fire.
Yeah, it is.
I think she left out an important piece, though. I mean, what could be cooler than a 17th century flamethrower?
Yeah.
I don't even know what else to say.
Could not agree more. We love flamethrowers here. Now, in this next clip, we are in an entirely different biome. Tell me about this sort of more like sandy area. What is this location all about?
Oh, this was the best like free thing they've ever added. Brimstone Sands. That was good.
Location.
So this is Brimstone
I actually
Sands.
love
It's
this
one of the
expedition
later,
too.
Zones in the game. It's the biggest one. It's massive. I mean, a vast desert, just packed with interesting stuff. Narratively, you know, what I love about it is this is the place where the ancient Egyptians landed when they came to Eternum thousands of years ago, and the Romans came later. And there's kind of an interesting dynamic between them, the conflict between them that's still sort of present in the zone today. Players, as they go, and this is, I will say, as somebody who likes to explore, this is the best zone to explore in all of Eternum. There's so much to do, and there's so many ruins. And you see in the image there the Ennead, which is a pyramid, one of the ancient ruins where the ancients once channeled the power of the stars. But as players go around and visit the Ennead and these other ruins, they're going to, it really gives you that feeling of being a treasure hunter, like Indiana Jones, you know, it's like that cool. For me, it's really fun. It's a unique part of Eternum.
Yeah,
I
it is
love
with
It sounds
Scorpions.
Like it's shrouded in mystery.
Yeah, Brimstone Sands
Now we're
is
in the sand,
by
the
far
sandy area.
the best thing
And
they've ever
up
added
next
to the
in this
game.
clip, we get a look at a pretty particular enemy type.
Oh, I
What
can't
can
wait
you
to
tell
hear
me
this.
about the giant sandworm that we see right here.
Look at that beautiful face. Yeah, that's Shauna Shen. So Shauna Shen you can actually see in the open world in Brimstone Sands. And you can join a 20-person elite trial, get some badass rewards, and take Shauna Shen down yourself.
Do they ever raise the power creep on that? Oh, so it's still 625 gear. Okay, so it's still, huh? That's so weird that they added this, and then a couple months later they added Rise of the Angry Earth, and then didn't up the difficulty or rewards for this, right? So people were still doing it for, shit, I haven't played in a while. What's the red shards? Whatever those were. Umbi shards? No, Umbi shards are gone. I forgot what people are doing this for. Yeah. I don't remember. I feel like people were running this, and I don't remember why. Dark matter. Okay, so it's dark matter. Yeah. That's the only reason why people are running that.
Amazing. Now, up next, we see something that I'm pretty excited about. We get a look at the pre-order bonus mount, the Azoth Stalker. What can
The
you tell me
Jade
about
one,
the
wait, the
different
bear
mounts
looks
that are shown
cool.
right here in
The bear
trailer?
has sunglasses on,
Yeah,
so.
you can see a few of our different mount types here. My favorite is the dire wolf, and that is the
No, the
Azoth
bear's the
Stalker
best.
in the center. That's the pre-order bonus, which if you're on PC, you get a chance to grab that as well if you log into the game between June 7th and October 14th. So
Amazing.
they look so cool.
What do we get for
So if
free
you're
for
on
logging in?
PC at
I'll
home, make sure
re-download
to
for
check
free.
that out. Now, we are almost towards the end of the trailer, but we get this really, really striking location in the next clip. Talk to me about what's going on. And this more like mountainy location right here. We see this sort of gate and this like really impressive mountain behind.
Yeah, so as you land on the beach, you start the game in this very tropical, beautiful area, and you quickly learn that the nemesis in Chapter 1 is the Tempest, who you'll talk about here in a minute. This is, as you get further and further into the island, it gets harder
You're
and
still
harsher
farming
and
it
scarier. What
every
you see
day?
there is
No
you're in
way.
Great Cleave, and you're about to enter Shattered Mountain, which is where the Tempest lives. This is where the game gets ultra
I'll get the
scary,
Wolf Mount for
gets
free.
much harder and more difficult, and it kind of opens the door. And as soon as you get through the door, you'll see what you run into.
Yeah, you can definitely tell it's a lot more intimidating by those red tones. In this next clip, we get a look at this sort of, I'm assuming it's a boss. What can you tell me about this creature coming up right here? Talk to
Oh,
me
I'll
about
tell you
the
all
Tempest.
about it. If you're with a really good group, you could probably beat it in what, like a minute or two. You're probably gonna just need melee weapons, so spears, I think, hatchets or greatswords. You probably want a weakened spear, and your tank to just be sitting there, and your healer just to keep heals on everybody else. Other than that, though, if you just stay behind her and you know how to iframe a couple of her attacks, it's like a minute to 2 minute fight. It's very simple. Yes.
So that's showing all the players getting up to this point, but that is the Tempest. She's the villain of the first
It's a very
chapter
easy
of
fight.
the story in New World Eternum. And she is, she has this really interesting backstory. She was once a human just like the players.
I mean,
but
she's
she
cool, though.
embraced
She's
the
one of my
power
favorite characters.
corruption, which obviously comes at a cost. But it also gives her great power. And she gets her hooks in the player at the very beginning of the game and kind of gets in your head. And she's taunting you and teasing you as you go through the island, trying to make
Oh,
you
God, a stalking
corrupted.
chest.
And so that's one of the motivations for the player is to prevent her from turning them corrupted as well as to
I don't
stop
know
her
what this
from
game is turning into. I
world
just think it's a
domination,
console
of course.
announcement.
Yeah, she definitely tries to get into your mind, that's for sure. And the cool thing about her is that we showed you the multiplayer, the 5-person expedition. You can also take her on one-on-one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Yeah, we got a lot of solo players here. I love it. Now, in this next shot, we see a sweeping shot of the island. There is a lot to take in. We get
This is cool.
a visual of the mountain here, the gate, the obelisk. What might people miss in this sweeping shot of the island?
Yeah, so
I don't know what this character is wearing, but I need to know why this character model looks better than any character model I've ever seen in the game. This one particular character and armor, I'm about it, you know?
main story takes you through a lot of what we talked about, but in the upper right part of the shot, there's an area of the map that we don't guide you to, and it's only up to the intrepid adventurers to go off on their own, off the beaten path, and discover what areas are over there and what enemies lurk in those corners. And then on the other side, we have some of those ancient machines I talked about, which are up to, again, the journeyers to explore.
Love it. And then, of course, we got a lot of explorers in the audience. They are eating this up. I love it. Finally, we see the world seemingly
The people in the
taken
crowd are
over
like
by
the 50 people
corruption.
who plug in every day.
Before we go to the key art game end card, what is the meaning of this shot? Talk to me about it.
Well, so of course, seeing the corruption sweep over the world this is what will happen if the player wasn't there to stop it from happening, right? To face down the tempest. Corruption is an insatiable evil, and unlike the Lost and the Angry Earth that we talked about, corruption actually comes from somewhere else, and that's one of the mysteries of the game, is where corruption comes from. But I definitely want to call out this helmet here because it's one of the most iconic things in the game. It's associated with
Does
Captain
anybody
Thorpe, the
actually
captain that,
enjoy the
players are
lore
on
in this
his ship
game?
when they shipwreck on the island at the very
Destiny
beginning.
recently, I'm like, okay, I
He's
can
kind of
learn
a
that. I was very
brutal
excited
dude,
for the Lost Ark
and,
lore when I
he
did
falls
play
to
it.
corruption very quickly and becomes your first really big enemy. And if you look at his helmet there, you can see a lot of like little hints and clues about the mysteries of Eternum kind of embedded there.
All right, guys, so that is the end of the trailer.
Hi,
But
Spoon.
before we wrap up, I need to ask you guys, what can you tell us about how the experience has changed for players over the last 3 years?
Oh,
from
let me
New
hear
World to
it.
New World Eternum.
So honestly, it would be a lot easier to talk about what hasn't changed because the list of what's changed is so big. I think for me, the biggest change is the beginning of the game and the end of the game. The way we tell the story, the way we carry players through it, the part of the story. But then the end
That's a
game
great
has gotten
answer,
so
actually.
big
I'm
and
okay
so
with
rich,
that.
And there's like,
Well, that's
and
a
lot
lie.
of times when you play an RPG, when you get to the end of the level, whatever, or the cap level, has gotten so big and so the list of what's changed is so big. I think for me, the biggest change is the beginning of the game and the end of the game. The way we tell the story, the way we carry players through it, the part of the story. But then the end game has gotten so big and so rich, and there's like, and a lot of times when you play an RPG, when you get to the end of the level, whatever, or the cap level, you run out of content. Well, here, that's just a portion. Like, that's when the game really starts. It opens up into this giant
I will
world.
agree. The game does start
Yeah,
endgame.
and I will say, if you're somebody who started playing in 2021 and you stopped, you're going to come back to a completely different game. If you're somebody who played yesterday, this is a continuation of that really fun journey that you're on. And if you're a console player, Eternum is the ultimate New World experience.
Scott, Katie, Rob, thank you so much for joining us here and helping us break down the trailer. New World Eternum is available October 15th on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series
Yeah, I don't
X.
think I'll come back. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The only way I'll ever come back to New World is if they have a huge expansion and they rework. I mean, this is asking for a lot. They rework, who is that? Thank you, Taryn. Oh yeah, I'm ready whenever. Give me a minute.
We are ready whenever
Yes.
you are, mom, less than 3.
I would only ever come back if they, reworked the war system. They reworked the player-driven economy. They added more to housing. They had better farming. And realistically, I'm just asking for another game, and that's why I don't play the game anymore. Is because what I want isn't something that New World is going to give me, and I would rather get what I want from other games. Correct. So same X Unit. I think that this game is a seasonal game, and that's fine. But I didn't even care to come back to when they added that new raid. I'm sorry, expedition, the Glacial Torn. But I don't know. I feel like I'm going to come back, and it's going to be the same thing. You need a tank with a ton of hated or threat generation. You need a healer to run the same AoE spells, you need a weakened spear. You probably need somebody on a rapier. And then you probably just want somebody on a greatsword. And you want your healer, what is it? On a void gauntlet. I think it's the same game. I'm going to say it's the same game. It's the same format. It's the same. Right. Anyway, so thank you guys, for hanging out and watching this with me.